Hey, what's up? My name is Jesse Dow, and I'm a top 100 influencer agent here at eXp Realty. I am also a 5-year icon agent coming up on number 6, and I've closed over 837 transactions on the eXp Realty platform. I've also generated over $1.1 million through eXp's revenue share program, and I've earned over $200,000 in eXp Realty stock through the culture program. Now, this channel gives you elite behind the scenes access to real numbers, real strategies, and updates here at eXp Realty so you can make the smartest decisions for you and your business. Now, if you're a serious agent like I know you are and you want multiple revenue streams, then this channel is for you. So consider subscribing. And today I'm going to be talking about the top 10 reasons agents leave eXp Realty. And I'm going to dive right in. So number one, and the number one reason that agents leave eXp Realty, and this information is actually pulled through deep research on ChatGPT. I actually told it to pull all of the information from Reddit, from Google, YouTube videos, social media, everything that they could find. And this is the list that they gave from agents and brokers that left eXp Realty. And the number one reason was misalignment with company culture. And when you pull all of that information, you actually see that narrative start to change in 2024. So what happened in 2024? Well, before 2024, Leo Pereira was not the CEO of eXp Realty. So Leo Pereira became the CEO of eXp Realty. And since then, we have seen a dramatic change of company culture. And it has been a night and day difference. And, here's one clean example is that we had a big event down in Cabo. They do it every single year. And we actually had a bunch of people that came back and said the vibe was completely different. And it just seemed like people were a lot more serious. And before, there were some pretty wild parties that had happened. You go to Cabo, there's drinks flowing, all the things. And you have to remember, eXp is the single largest brokerage in the world. So there's going to be some parties to be had. But Leo came online and said, that is because I have implemented a no drinking policy for eXp corporate employees. So remember, there's over 2,000 eXp employees that support the agents. And he said, if it's an eXp function, there will be no drinking allowed for those people, which I think is a really good idea because let's be honest, when the booze starts flowing, things start happening. And when there's no alcohol involved, like I personally don't drink. And one of my biggest fears of ever has always been, like, especially from being an influencer agent and having, big business, is like someone's going to accuse me of doing something that I didn't do. So what do? I remove myself from those environments. I never go to those parties and I don't drink. So therefore I can't be in those situations because there has been situations where things have happened and I just personally don't want to be involved with it. So if you're not there, guess what? That opportunity doesn't come into play. So that was the number one reason that people left eXp was misalignment with company culture. And number two is insufficient support from sponsors. Now, this one is very interesting because when you look at the ISA, it says that the sponsor's only requirement is to help you onboard into the company. A lot of agents that do recruiting, and this can actually go back into the culture with eXp, is that there is this culture of eXp as this recruiting company. Now, I'm here to tell you that less than 10% of agents actually earn revenue share. So that tells me that less than 10% of the agents actually recruit. However, effectively, because a lot of people get excited about revenue share when they first join. They think they're going to go out and just naturally tell agents to join, and they're going to randomly do it because they just told them, as if this agent's never heard of eXp before, and they're going to randomly join. And that's what happens when agents leave eXp to get into another company when they say that they're going to be early, even though they've never recruited agents onto the eXp platform. It makes absolutely no sense. So they say that they get no support from their sponsors because there are sponsors that I can only imagine, I've heard it from lots of agents, is that they're promised all of these things and then they never get it. But I don't know if they're really promised. I think the agent might have a false expectation. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of influencers that attract a lot of agents and they naturally think they're gonna have success even though those agents haven't proven success with whatever social media they're doing. A lot of reasons agents join us in our organization is because they know that we are the most trusted YouTube marketing agency on the planet, and we generate the most sales through YouTube with the Channel Junkies, which is the YouTube marketing agency that I co-founded with Jackson Wilkie. Insufficient support from sponsors. I've had agents tell me that their sponsor does nothing for them, and I just say, well, your sponsor is not required to do anything from you, and they think that they're supposed to be a coach and this and that. There are agents that add massive support to their organizations. So I've also partnered up through the co-sponsor program with other organizations that specialize in helping the agents with whatever they need. So if you contact me and you're like, hey, Jesse, I need this, and I just didn't want to reach out to anyone because you're the one that I trust, reach out to me and I will point you in the right direction. Or we can co-sponsor you with another organization with myself, and you can get double the opportunity. I always say it's like somebody handing you two options, $500 in this hand and $100 in this hand, and the agent takes the $100. I'm like, why would you do that? I'm offering you a lifeline here, and this is something you should exercise, in my personal opinion. But some agents don't. That totally is fine. You can do whatever you want. I'm just telling you what I would do. Number 3 is overwhelmed by technology. And I will tell you, eXp has done an amazing job at combating this. And the reason that they've done, or how they've done it, is really through eXp University and their learning paths and onboarding. I personally hired an onboarding person to onboard all of our agents, because what I heard early on was if agents didn't plug into eXp, they never used it for what it was. So I always wanted agents to have an amazing experience when onboarding. So I had an onboarding director. Now eXp, when you onboard, they do a 2-hour class multiple times a day. So agents can come in, they get you set up with your CRM, your SkySlope, your transaction management software. They show you where all the trainings are, your broker room, your weekly broker trainings, all of, depending on what learning path you're on, whether you're a team lead, brokerage owner, solo agent, aspiring to be a new agent, boom, they put you in there and they show you exactly where it's all at. Number 4, and this is a pretty big one, is an unrealistic expectation of revenue share. I've already alluded to this. Agents think they're gonna jump in, they're gonna just magically recruit all of these agents, and they're gonna become rich, and with very little effort, and it doesn't happen. I am here to tell you, I have had over 1,000 agents through my organization. And the one thing I will say, it's number 1, it's all about timing. The eXp might not be the right fit for you today. It might be the right fit for you in 3 years. So it's just like working with buyers and sellers, is you're putting people in your pipeline in, so that way when they're ready to make that buy, when they're ready to make that sell, or if they know someone that's looking for that, they are then ready to reach out to you. You always want to be that first call. I talk to agents every day where they're like, hey, I'm really happy at my brokerage. I'm like, awesome. There may become a point in time when you're not happy with your brokerage, and when that time comes, I would love to be your first call. And also, agents just, they hear of all of this success and they think it's easy. It's just like real estate sales. It is not easy. And there's a full disclaimer down in my description that talks to you about how much agents at eXp made from revenue share and commissions. And it's very interesting. So that was number 4. Number 5 is a desire for more local presence. And eXp is the number 1 brokerage in the United States. So when they say a desire for more local presence, eXp is very broker agnostic in the fact that like they want agents to build their own branding and build their own systems. You know, they just want to be here as a resource and like a platform for agents to like bolt on top of. So I know there's a lot of agents where they're like, oh, I want to work for this brokerage that has all of this national recognized branding because they feel that that adds value. Now I'm here to say, after selling almost 1,000 homes, that never once has anyone, except for when I was at Keller Williams, did they care that I even worked at any single brokerage, and it was in a negative capacity. I also worked for a team that also had a name that was a very politically polarizing name, even though that they weren't. And so that also played a big demise into the business because it was an area that the other side of the fence was very strong on. So when I would cold call people, they would just be like, oh, heck no, I'm not working with you. So I always had to use the brokerage name. So that was number 5. And also eXp maybe only have 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 agents in your marketplace. It just depends how market penetration has worked in that marketplace. So there's a lot of brokerage locations in the United States where eXp is the number 1 brokerage. So it's always going to be a case by case scenario. Number six is, which makes no sense to me, but it's challenges building a team. And the biggest problem, the way that I could see this being a problem, is that an agent wanting everything given to them. And what I mean by that is they want to be told what to do. Well, eXp has a team leader academy, which lets you go through it before you're a team lead. And what happens is agents, they want the shortcut. They don't want to do the work. So when they say challenges building a team, I don't have more of a clear explanation besides that. So I'm just taking what I've heard from other agents as them saying like, oh, I jumped on the platform and it was just really difficult, like finding a buyer's agent. I hear that from agents all the time. And then I even told my team, because they wanted a showing agent, and they're like, you're not gonna be able to find one. I said, I will have one on the team within 4 days. And so I went to work, I worked really hard, and I interviewed a bunch of different people, and I found an amazing showing agent to work for the team. And I had even let some agents pick and choose who they wanted before, and it never worked out. And I said, this time I'm going to do it for you guys, and you guys will be really happy with the outcome. So some people are just built for running teams, and some people aren't. And if you want to have that conversation, you can reach out, give me a call. I've worked with the most successful teams in the country. And, and I also have a partnership with a co-sponsor who has 10 of the top 10 teams in their organization here. So the power of proximity is more powerful than anything, and they meet multiple times a week. So moving on, challenge number 7 and why agents left eXp Realty was a preference for different commission structures. Now, I personally think the commission structure here is great. There's 3 options: solo agent, team option, and then mega team option. And they also have a referral option. So if you're an agent that is getting out of the business and you just want to keep your license in inactive status, or I think you have to be active, but they move it into the commercial side, and then you can collect referrals. And this is great for agents that want to keep earning their revenue share. They just go into referral status. eXp doesn't require you to pay an annual fee like some of the competitors. Every other competitor that has revenue share requires fees, whether it's a LPT charges $15K for you to earn revenue share. Real Broker charges $195 a year, plus they take 1.2% of all of your revenue share off the top. eXp charges nothing for that. It's straight up. So when you talk about preferences for different commission structures, my guess is that somebody probably wanted a flat fee option. And quite honestly, flat fee options are designed for low producing agents for the most part. Once again, there's LPT out there, and they rave how when the market slows down, you can go into their flat fee model. However, 90% of their agents are on flat fee model. And the reason I bring them up is because they're the only other cloud brokerage out there that has a structure like that. So when 90% of your brokerage is on that model, it kind of like, it turns into a magnet for those types of agents. We saw HomeSmart do the exact same thing, but this says that they would prefer whoever filled out these surveys said that they had a preference for different commission structures. I just don't think there's a big deal with that. At the end of the day, when you look at every brokerage across the platforms, if you're a solo agent doing, let's just say 4 to 20 deals, you're going to pay almost identical. Even when you look at eXp versus Real and you get up to like 30 transactions, both brokerages are almost identical. So brokerages change the fees and the splits to try to make it seem more attractive. If you really do the math, and maths, and I love to say people lie, numbers don't, is because when you compare everything side by side, it's really going to come down to like who you're aligning with. That really matters the most. But moving into number 8, limited face-to-face interactions. So this is very interesting to me also, because what I hear is that the new agents and the newer agents and the solo agents love eXp World. They love going into the virtual world. They love learning live 50 to 80 hours a week of live training, and they couldn't get enough of it. The team leads, even like myself, I rarely go in there. I was actually just in there today watching the CRM of choice training. So we get an option of 3 different CRMs, and I'm like learning on Zoom. Like the cloud model, every brokerage, if this model doesn't work, then why is every brokerage that comes out now cloud model with revenue share? It's because they know it works and it's very effective. However, with the ability to now co-sponsor with other team leads and brokerage owners and organization runners around the country, I now have access to every single physical location in the country. So if you are someone that does seek that, it is an option. But what I was going to say is that it's the agents that wouldn't really be going face to face are the ones that are and they love eXp World are saying that there's limited face to face, and then the teams that don't use eXp World very often are actually working every day around their teams. So I don't really know who is saying that and why they would. I'm guessing it's just somebody that felt like they were on an island by themselves and weren't building their own community or generating a lot of sales. Because I've talked to like all of my agents that produce, and I'm always like, what is your favorite thing about eXp? And you know what they all said? Like number one item was like, they're like all of them said it was the direct access they have to other producing agents to like learn from. So whether it's face to face on Zoom in a digital setting, I don't really understand why going in person, because typically if you're going in person also, it's you're getting a limited training from the same person. So I love this situation, but that's just my preference. Number 9 is that they just strictly had a change in career goals. So I will say that eXp will offboard agents that are non-producing. So they reach out to them, they say, hey, are you still selling real estate? So in 2024, every other brokerage out there used this as a talking point to try to recruit away from eXp. And they said, well, eXp's numbers are going down. And eXp went in and personally offboarded about, I think it was over 10,000 agents. I want to say it was 12,000 agents. And what eXp always says is like, don't judge a coffee shop based on the amount of baristas behind the counter. Judge it by the cup of coffee that you're drinking. And I think the same thing goes here, is judge the company for what it is. The number one brokerage, one of the top brokerages for average sales per agent. And that's a huge number, because the bigger your brokerage is, the lower the transaction count should be per agent. And we're double all the other cloud brokerage models with average sales per agent. And the eXp revenue share is the highest payout per agent in the entire world. When you look deeper into the numbers and what happens, a lot of agents, 90%, almost 90%, don't even last 2 years. So if you attract a lot of new agents, guess what? You're going to naturally have a agent base that only stays around for a limited time. But if you look at eXp since 2020, they were at 19,000 agents when I joined, and look at them today. In the US alone, it's over 60,000 agents. So that's crazy. Exponential growth. And at the end of the day, agents change and go back into corporate America every single day, wherever you're at. And I'm not trying to give you excuses, because obviously these are the 10 reasons they leave. I'm just shining some insights into this. And then number 10 is a desire for in-person mentorship, which also I think is interesting. And these must have just not have been agents that plug in. And what do they always say? The loudest boos come from the cheapest seats. Is because if you're a brand new agent or you've done less than 3 deals in the last 12 months, you get assigned a mentor. And also your organization has the ability to provide higher level training. I actually went and read some of the comments in some other YouTube channels, and I actually read that people were saying like, my downline, my organization only taught us how to recruit other agents. So you have to look and see in your organization, what are the people in the upline doing? Are they solely out of production and they're only doing agent attraction? Are they big into production? Are they big into social media? You know, there is a lot of social media influencers in my space here that don't sell real estate, you know, and then agents join them and are like very disappointed. And we already talked about that in one of the other topics. But, you know, personally, we sell all of our real estate through YouTube, over 100 transactions a year. We are aligned with the biggest independent brokerage owner that came over here with over 900 agents doing $2 billion a year in production. I'm aligned with the top 10 organization with the top 10 teams in the United States. I am aligned with the Girls with Grit, which they focus heavily on women in real estate. And then they also have the entourage side, which also includes the guys. The list goes on. It really comes down to what you are looking for. And if an in-person mentorship is a big deal to you, then you should probably be aligning with a agent in your marketplace that can help you out. And then just know that there's always going to be a cost associated with that. And I think that's a big deal in real estate, because I actually was watching the top 10 or the top 7 reasons that separates producing agents from non-producing agents. And one of the reasons was that non-producing agents or struggling agents don't invest in themselves, into training, and it's a big problem. is because they're so cheap and they just think that they are better than the training. I invest so much money in training. I invest a lot of money in masterminds. I invest money into mentorship programs, and the list goes on, because at the end of the day, I'm always looking for that nugget that can change my life. You know, I paid over $20,000 for 3 15-minute sessions with somebody, and just from that alone, just the connections that I got from that was life-changing. The information I got from that, directly from that person, was very interesting, but they did teach me one thing that absolutely changed my business. And I was able to ask them one specific question that I was able to inject into my business that completely changed everything. And that's what you're paying for at the end of the day, is knowledge from people that have been there. Someone said to me the other day, I charged them, it was for a 1-hour meeting to go through their YouTube channel, and it was $4,000. And I told them exactly what they needed to do. And the guy literally just messaged me back, and he said, when I spent the money with you, I was really skeptical. He said, however, I've had my best year in real estate in my entire life. And he's like, I've actually generated over an incremental $400,000. And he's like, I wish I could spend it again and get the same result. And that's what happens, is agents invest in themselves, and then they see this massive result, and then they want to start adding things on because they want to pay it again to get the same result. And that's typically not the way it is, because it's just like when you build in, when they say you got to diversify your portfolio with investing, it's like if you invest into, like, say 8 different avenues and one goes down, you still have 7 over here, but you can only do so much in each avenue. And usually it's the beginning that gets you to build that up, and then you start another one, build it up. And it's the same thing with eXp, is you do your production first, you do your lead generation, then your production follows. And then then you can start working on your referral and your past business, layer that in, and then if you want to start adding in YouTube for real estate, you layer that in. Once that pipeline builds in, you move to the next thing, and maybe it's agent attraction. Then you start building that, then that income starts building in, but you always still got to keep maintaining these, first avenues. And at the end of the day, there's never going to be a one size fits all. However, there are one size fits most. And if you want to have that conversation, I'm telling you right now is the greatest time in real estate, because the market where it is a perfect time to outpace your competition by doing the simple things. And right now, why the market is the way it is the best time to move brokerages or join a brokerage, because you can get your business into full gear. So when the market turns around, you're just off to the races and you see exponential hockey stick. And that's the one thing I will say, is that when I also spoke to all of the agents that produced at a high level, they all said that when they moved into eXp, their businesses all exploded. And it was simply learning tricks and techniques and different tactics and tools from top producing agents that they were able to directly inject in their business. And from that, they saw exponential growth. So if you want to have that conversation, reach out, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, or even schedule a Zoom call with me down in the description below. And yes, it is me 100% of the time. I had an agent tell me the other day, he jumped on, he's like, dude, I did not think it was going to be you, because I scheduled with other agents online, and guess what? It was somebody else in another state, and I just didn't like that. Thank you for showing up. And that's exactly what we do every day in our real estate business, is we show up for our agents. And until next time, we'll catch you later.